What is up, guys? We're back with another video, and today we're checking out this motherboard right here, which is the first sort of creator-themed motherboard from ASRock. It's their X870 Taichi creator. So let's go ahead and take a look. This video is brought to you by MSI's Core Liquid P13 series liquid CPU coolers. These make use of a streamlined cable design where all the cables route into the sleeve tubing for a cleaner look. With the MSI Center software, you can easily configure the 2.1-inch circular LCD display, and there's so many different options to choose from. There's a single universal mounting bracket, so no more swapping out brackets, and there's even a cover to keep the whole thing looking clean. To learn more, check out thinkcomputers.org/P13. As we take a first look at the motherboard here, ASRock has gone with the same sort of color design that ASUS has on their ProArt boards, which again are designed for creators. So we have a sort of black design, and then we have gold accents. And being from Pittsburgh, I love black and gold. So I really like the design, and I don't know if they're just trying to keep it coherent with what ASUS is doing. But overall, I think the board looks quite good. And if you are wondering, this is just a standard ATX motherboard. As we start at the CPU socket, we of course have AMD's AM5 socket. This socket will support AMD's Ryzen 9000, 8000, and 7000 series processors. Surrounding the CPU socket, we have our power delivery components, and ASRock is making use of an 18+2+1 power phase design with 80 amp power stages for the CPU. These power delivery components are covered by two large heatsinks, and these two heatsinks, as well as the rear I/O cover, really bring the top corner of the board together nicely. The I/O cover has an acrylic piece on it with a gold accent, and I think it looks pretty good. Hiding in the top corner of the board are going to be your two 8-pin EPS connectors. Moving across the top of the board, you'll find three 4-pin headers, which include your CPU fan header, optional CPU fan header, and an AIO pump header. Coming to the memory slots, we have 4 DDR5 DIMM slots, which will support up to 256 gigabytes of DDR5 8000 memory. These slots don't have the locks on the bottom, which makes swapping out your memory much easier once you have your graphics card installed. Coming to the edge of the board, you'll find your postcode display, power button, reset button, two 3-pin addressable RGB headers, your 24-pin ATX power connection, and a USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 header. And as we come down the board, you have a USB 3.2 Gen 1 header and 4 SATA 6 gig ports. All of these are at a 90-degree angle, so they don't get in the way of your expansion cards. Of course, at the bottom of the board, you're gonna find the rest of your headers and connections. These include your HD audio header, 4-pin standard RGB header, 3-pin addressable RGB header, 3 USB 2.0 headers, 4 4-pin fan headers, a thermal probe header, USB 3.2 Gen 1 header, a clear CMOS header, and your front panel headers. The bottom half of the board is characterized by heatsinks, which is pretty standard these days. One of the heatsinks has a clear acrylic piece on it, which says creator, and I think it looks pretty good. When it comes to your M.2 slots, they're of course gonna be under all of these heatsinks here. This top heatsink is a bit larger and a bit thicker, of course, to cool off those Gen 5 NVMe SSDs here. Now this does use a toolless system, so there's a little button right here. You press that over and that goes ahead and of course just releases, and you can go ahead and easily install your drive. As you can see, there is thermal tape on the heatsink. There's also thermal tape down here because we have a second heatsink sort of under the actual slot there. And then putting the heatsink back on is really easy. All you sort of do is just line it up and slide it right into place. The second heatsink is not toolless, but all you have to do is loosen these two captive screws right here. Really easy to go ahead and do that. And then when you've done that, you just lift this off. And as you can see, this also has thermal tape on it. And then our top slot here actually has that same heatsink and thermal tape. That's because this is also a PCI Express 5.0 M.2 slot. Our next slot here is going to be PCI Express 4.0 X4. And then our final slot is going to be PCI Express 3.0 X4. So a total of 4 M.2 slots here, 2 of which of course are Gen 5. Now, all of these slots, including this top one, they have this toolless locking system. So all you have to do is you simply put in your drive just like this. And then when you press it down here, let's go ahead and get it in. You just pull this tab over and then it just locks the drive in place. It's really simple to go ahead and do, so no more tiny screws. And if you need to remove a drive, you just go like that, you know, it just pops up and you can easily go ahead and take it out. Now, as we look at our expansion slots, we have two PCI Express 5.0 X16 slots and a single PCI Express 3.0 X16 slot, which is X4 electrical. Having two PCI Express 5.0 X16 slots is pretty rare on a motherboard these days. This makes the board very appealing if you plan to use two graphics cards for encoding, rendering, or even streaming. Now, if you are wondering, these slots will operate at X8 speeds if you have two cards installed. The two main slots are also metal reinforced, and the top one makes use of ASRock's Easy Release, which has a lever on it to easily release your graphics card. As we come to the rear I/O, of course, we have an integrated I/O shield. As far as ports, connections, and buttons go, you have BIOS flashback and clear CMOS buttons, Wi-Fi antenna connections, HDMI, 6 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports, 2 USB 2.0 Type A ports, 5 gig LAN, 10 gig LAN, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, 2 USB 4 Type C ports, and then your audio connections. If you're wondering, the 4 purple USB ports are what ASRock calls their Ultra USB ports. These deliver ultra stable and low noise 5-volt power, not from your power supply's native 5-volt rail, but transform from the plus 12-volt line. This is ideal for USB audio interfaces, external DACs, and portable storage. As we come to the end here, I think for their first sort of creator-themed motherboard, ASRock has done a really good job here. And this might not even be a board just for creators. I think if you're maybe building an AI machine, this might be a solid choice if you didn't want to go all the way up to something like a workstation board. And I think the main reason for that is because we actually do have proper spacing for our graphics card slots. So this is a board where you can actually install two graphics cards in it and it will fit. And that's very rare on just a normal consumer ATX motherboard. So I definitely like that. And having the space for two graphics cards means that if you are a creator and maybe you're streaming or you're creating content, of course, having two graphics cards is going to be better for that, especially when it comes to encoding. And then if you're doing AI, of course, AI workloads is just better with two graphics cards. So you have that possibility with this motherboard. Now, if you're a creator and you're creating content and you wanted to offload that content to say something like a NAS or something like that, you actually have 10 gig LAN on this, which I think is super important. And even the second port is 5 gig. So you can easily transfer all of your data off your main machine and over to your NAS if you want to. And then when it comes to connectivity, as far as USB, we talked about those Ultra USB ports, which of course are really great for connecting things like DACs and things like that. But you actually have 25 total USB ports on here, rear I/O and internal combined. So ton of connectivity, and you of course are getting USB 4 as well as USB 3.2 Gen 2x2. So I definitely really like that on here as well. And I really didn't run into any issues with this board. Stable power delivery, all the connectivity you want. I think if I was going to nitpick, the Wi-Fi 7 isn't full bandwidth. It's 160 megahertz instead of the 320 megahertz. Again, I think for a lot of people, you're gonna be plugging into that 10 gig LAN anyways, but if anything, that would kind of be my thing that I wasn't, that happy with this board. I would like to see just full on Wi-Fi 7, but I think it's a great board. And I hope that, this is their first one. I hope that ASRock continues this line, because I think for creators, and there's so many creators these days, having a board that has all of this functionality and connectivity and things really made for creators is a really good thing. Now, we do have our full written review on this motherboard over at ThinkComputers.org, and we'll have links below where you can, of course, go ahead and pick this up. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next video.